A 350 credit score prevents identity theft. The film opens in the year 2013 in Tegucigalpa, Honduras. Here, a financially struggling father named Roberto resides with his two kids, Miguel and Rocio. One day, Caviezel, a past beauty queen, meets Roberto and proposes to sign up his children for a child modeling agency. Seeing a chance to leave their poor conditions, he agrees. Roberto escorts his children to a photo shoot at a certain location. She welcomes them at the entrance, but when Roberto tries to follow, she informs him that only the models can enter. Roberto hesitantly agrees and leaves his kids with her. Under Giselle's supervision, the children start to pose for the camera, growing in confidence and enjoying themselves. They aspire to become celebrated models like Giselle, an opportunity rare in their hometown. Later that night, when Roberto comes back and knocks, there's no response. Annoyed, he knocks louder, and the door swings open to reveal a deserted, dark studio with no trace of his kids. In a panic, he tries other neighbors' doors, but gets no reply. In desperation, he rushes into the night, searching for help, puzzled about his children's whereabouts. Meanwhile, in California, a man is on his computer, browsing a secret website that sells pictures of children to wealthy individuals. He selects them as if shopping online. Unbeknownst to him, Homeland Security is monitoring his house and his online activities. Tim Ballard, a special agent with the Homeland Security Investigations Unit, and his partner are tasked with tracking down such criminals. Tim stealthily enters the home of Ernest Oshinsky, while Oshinsky is engrossed in his online search. Hearing a strange sound in the living room, Oshinsky continues scrolling through photos, unsure if he's just hearing things. Suddenly, his bedroom door bursts open and an agent throws him to the ground. Tim and Chris start searching the house and find a library full of folders containing distressing photos of children. Examining these deeply affects Tim emotionally, especially as he thinks of his own kids. He urgently feels the need to rescue these victims. In an unexpected move, Tim takes Oshinsky from his cell for a private talk in the lobby. Tim shares his own struggles with hidden desires, suggesting a similarity between them. Oshinsky, standing alone in his cell, smirks, possibly thinking he's made a friend. Tim tells his boss he has a plan and is given a week to execute it. The next day, he walks Oshinsky out of the building, seemingly granting him freedom. At home, Tim tells Oshinsky he can drop the charges in exchange for a favor. He asks Oshinsky to use his contacts to find a young boy to fulfill his deepest ambitions. Oshinsky meets his contact the next day, planning to surprise Tim and get the charges dropped. Unbeknownst to him, Homeland Security is monitoring him. That evening, at a local diner, Oshinsky gives Tim a book with a photo of Miguel, Roberto's son, inside. As Tim smiles, police lights flash outside the diner. The following day, Tim waits at the Mexican border. When Oshinsky's contact arrives, pretending everything is normal, Tim already knows the truth. The man is immediately arrested. Upon opening the van's back door, Tim finds a frightened boy. He reassures him and takes him out for a burger, seeking to build a connection. The boy is surprised to learn Tim's name is Timoteo in Spanish, as his sister had given him a pendant bearing that name, symbolizing a child savior. The boy recounts how he and his sister were locked in a shipping container months ago and taken to the port of Cartagena by boat, but now he's clueless about her whereabouts. After organizing a flight for the boy's father, Tim witnesses their emotional reunion at the airport. The boy, recognizing his father, rushes into his embrace and thanks Tim, his rescuer. The boy gifts Tim his pendant before they part. Meanwhile, Rocio, the boy's sister, is still lost and in danger. The following day, Tim meets with his boss, compelled to do more after saving a boy with a missing sister. His passionate and tearful request convinces his boss to agree. After saying goodbye to his wife, Tim flies south to meet a colleague who might help find Rocio. In his quest, Tim connects with Vampiro, a former cartel member with insights into trafficking. He outlines a plan to save 50 children, posing as a wealthy benefactor funding the mission. Their strategy involves pretending to be millionaires throwing a big party, aiming to save children from danger. Vampiro contacts El Calacas, falsely informing him that American tourists are seeking lavish parties and willing to spend big. Calacas, lured by the potential profit, inadvertently sets them up for surveillance, leading them to his connections, including Giselle, the woman who deceived Roberto and took his children, and others involved in similar crimes. Tim faces a dilemma as his boss, frustrated with the slow progress, ends his cover and orders him to return home. At night, Tim confides in his wife, uncertain about his next step. She suggests he resign from his job to focus on saving the children. The next day, he calls his boss and quits. Pablo, the wealthy benefactor behind the operation, is unhappy with Tim's departure from the government. Pablo relished playing a role in law enforcement through Tim's homeland security connections. Tim appeals to Pablo, highlighting the plight of numerous children and the impact they can make. He stresses the urgency and potential closeness of such issues, but Pablo initially refuses to continue his support. Later, Pablo reconsiders and visits Tim, agreeing to help. He meets with Vampiro, Tim's contact, to strategize. Their plan involves buying an island to host a grand party, serving as a facade to gather many children and traffickers in one place, setting up a law enforcement raid to rescue the children and catch the traffickers. After acquiring the island, they pitch the island party idea to Calacas, framing it as an event for wealthy guests. Calacas, enticed by the opportunity, shares island pictures with his network. Giselle agrees to bring children to the party. Vampiro introduces her to Pablo, and they finalize the event details. The plan's success hinges on trapping the traffickers on the island. The police set up surveillance and position their forces in speedboats nearby. However, when the children arrive at the island, they face a significant problem. There are far fewer children than expected, leaving them vastly outnumbered and complicating the operation. Giselle informs that more children are on the way, prompting Tim to radio the police commander, instructing him to delay the raid until all children arrive, aiming to rescue as many as possible. He also advises creating the illusion of an informant within the group by not handcuffing one man. As a new boat approaches, the police swiftly raid the island. During the interrogation of a captured trafficker, they learn Rocio was sold to El Alacrán, also known as the Scorpion. This shifts the investigation's focus as the search for Rocio becomes more urgent. Tim's contact warns that entering El Alacrán's domain is extremely dangerous, but Tim is determined to proceed. Vampiro suggests they disguise themselves as missionary doctors to gain access to El Alacrán's territory. Tim and Vampiro travel to Noina province under this guise, hoping to spread word of their medical services. Eventually, they are granted entry, and El Alacrán allows them to provide care. Taking advantage of this, Tim looks for Rocio and finds her among a group processing drugs. Despite his assurances, she is wary of him. Under the cover of night, Tim finds Rocio in El Alacrán's hut and reveals his plan to rescue her and take her home. Their conversation, however, is abruptly interrupted by El Alacrán's return. In a moment of chaos, Tim quickly hides himself, taking advantage of the Scorpion's brief distraction. A tense confrontation follows, during which Tim manages to overpower and eliminate El Alacrán. With the immediate threat neutralized, Tim swiftly escapes the village with Rocio. They make their getaway in a boat, with soldiers in close pursuit. Rocio eventually awakens to find herself in the comforting presence of her father. A heartfelt reunion with her brother ensues, marking the end of her harrowing ordeal and the beginning of her journey home. The story concludes with Tim Ballard appearing before the United States Congress, where his testimony leads to the creation of laws that require government cooperation with international partners in trafficking cases. This development highlights a troubling truth. Modern-day slavery is more prevalent than ever before, surpassing even the numbers seen during the period of legal slavery. This revelation underscores the ongoing global struggle against human trafficking and the importance of sustained efforts to combat it. If you enjoyed this video, don't be shy to hit the like button, and if you disliked it, hit the dislike button twice, just to be sure. It would be best if you watched the whole movie. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe for more videos like this.